Yeah, that's better, isn't it? I think we just need to break up some of the truth bombs with some cuddles. Yeah.
I got a glitch. Oh, it just
Hello,
hit me
my
now.
loves, and welcome back. It's Ash, your truth-bombing fairy godmother for everything love, dating, and relationships. Today's video is for everyone who is still holding on to hope of reconciling or getting back together with an ex. I get a lot of comments and questions from people who tell me that they are still hopeful that an ex will come back and ask me whether or not I think there is still a chance of this happening. So I thought I would make a whole video dedicated to this question and how to determine when it is time to let go of hope of getting back together with an ex-partner. But first, if you would like new love, dating, relationship, or breakup videos every single week, then please consider subscribing to my channel by tapping that button below. And as always, if you find this video helpful at all, please don't forget to give it a thumbs up as well. Or don't, that's totally okay too, because honestly, I'm just happy that you're here. So one of the most common comments I get are from viewers asking me if I think that there's a chance that their ex will come back. And I always reply to those comments with something along the lines of, honestly, it's impossible for me to know whether or not your ex will come back. It's simply not possible that anyone on this planet would have the answer to that. Your ex might not even know. But ultimately, your ex is your best shot at finding out that answer. So I always reply to those comments with this question, which is, well, what does your ex think? And if you don't know what your ex thinks and here you are holding on to hope of reconciling, then why aren't you going directly to the source to find out where they stand? Because it takes two people to decide to try a relationship again. So your ex's opinion on this is pretty damn essential. Has your ex explicitly told you that they are still open to potentially trying again at some point? And I'm not talking about breadcrumbing you or still being in contact or being flirty or anything like that. Because it would be incredibly unwise of you and presumptuous to assume that just because your ex is still communicating with you, that automatically means that they're still open to getting back together. There are a ton of reasons why an ex may still be willing to remain in touch, none of them having to do with an intention of ultimately getting back together. And I'm not saying I agree with that behavior, especially if your ex is still being flirtatious and sending you mixed messages and therefore giving you a sense of false hope. But the reality is that it doesn't mean that they still want to be with you, and understanding that is really important. So if your ex has not explicitly told you that they see a future possibility of reconciling or trying things again with you, and you are still holding on to that hope, you need to ask them where they're at. You need to ask your ex what their intentions are by continuing to communicate with you. And you need to have a very direct, honest conversation about what you both see as the end goal. And if your ex says to you that no, unfortunately, they don't see themselves reconciling with you in the future, and that perhaps they just didn't want to lose you as a friend, then you need to decide for yourself whether or not you are okay continuing to remain in contact with someone that you clearly still have feelings for, knowing full well that that person is not and will not be committing to you in a romantic way going forward. And you need to believe someone when they tell you where they stand. You cannot continue to hold on to hope that they have blatantly told you is no longer there. When someone tells you they just want to be friends, that is not an invitation to stick around in the hopes that they will change their mind. And if you do stick around, then you can only do so with the full and complete acceptance that this person will be a friend and nothing more. And just to quickly revisit what I said before about having an ex who is still being flirtatious or leading you on in some way, do I think that this behavior is fair? Of course not. In fact, I see an ex doing this while simultaneously telling you that they just want to be friends or that they don't want to reconcile with you. Incredibly selfish. This behavior tells me that your ex is incredibly insecure and is still wanting your attention. And hello, editing Ash here. My camera died right in the middle of my thought on this one, so I just wanted to quickly go ahead and finish it. But basically what I was saying was, your ex still doing this tells me that they are incredibly insecure and are still wanting your attention and validation, which is not your job to give them. So please stop allowing this person to play with your emotions. On the other hand, perhaps your ex didn't necessarily say no to a future possibility together, but maybe they've just said that they simply don't know where they stand or what it is they want with you. Are you okay sticking around and waiting for another chance that may never come? And maybe you do see it as worth it, and that's entirely your call and your choice to make. But what I encourage you to do in this instance is to practice accepting the strong possibility that your ex will ultimately decide not to try things again. You have to be okay with that possibility, because at the end of the day, your ex is doing all they can by being honest with you and telling you that they don't know what the future holds for you as a couple. So if you wait around only for your ex to eventually decide that, you know what, sorry, yeah, that ship has sailed, or perhaps they start exploring things with someone else, the only person that you have a right to be angry with here is yourself. You can be crushed and heartbroken, of course, and those feelings would be incredibly valid, but choosing to postpone your own moving on process by sticking around with zero guarantee was a choice that you willingly made. Now, let's say you have an ex who is either partially or completely being unreceptive to your attempts to maintain contact. It really doesn't get any more clear than this, and I don't say that to be a dick. I say that because you are above grasping for someone who has made themselves unavailable to you. And that is exactly what silence or a lack of response means. It means I am no longer available to you, and you have to respect that. It is up to both parties to have a relationship, and it shocks me how many people don't seem to fully understand that. I get questions all the time from people asking me how to win an ex back who is unreceptive or not replying to messages anymore, who has blocked you, who has moved on with someone else, or who has otherwise made it very clear that they have no interest in trying again. And to those people, I'm sorry to be blunt, but you have to move on. You have no other options available to you. So if you're in this situation and you're wondering when the right time to let go is, it was yesterday, it was a week ago, it was a month ago. However long this has been going on for is when you should have started the process of accepting that getting back together is not going to happen. And again, I feel like I'm being an asshole here because I know how painful it is to let go when you still love someone. But refusing to let go and desperately holding on to non-existent hope will be far more painful for you in the long run. You have no business holding on to someone who doesn't want to stay. Why do you still want to be with someone who is no longer choosing you? And Rising Woman posted some really beautiful and encouraging words about this recently that I wanted to share with anyone who is going through this right now. And it said, "Loosen your grip and let it go. Who wants to leave was never yours. What's already left wasn't meant for you. Remember that you are held, loved, and supported, even when you feel lost. Remember that your path is sacred. There are no wrong turns. So where you find yourself now, on top of the world or at your rock bottom, trust. Surrender to this space and time. It will be difficult, but do not cling to what isn't meant for you. Resistance creates pain and struggle. Denial leads to hormonal disruption and emotional discomfort. Choose surrender over stagnancy. Drop in wherever you find yourself now and breathe deep. It's safe to surrender to the mystery. Not one of us is in control. It's normal to fear change, but do not let your fear hold you back. Pack it up and carry it with you if you must. Stare down your own darkness and walk until you see the light. And trust me, I have been in your shoes when it comes to just hopelessly clinging on to what wasn't meant for me. I gave one of my exes so much power over me, and for nearly 2 years after our breakup, I had in my head that if he could just choose me again, that then my life would be complete, or then I could be happy, or then I could move on. And one day I just finally woke up and realized, Ash, it's been 2 fucking years of this pointless back and forth with this guy. Why are you still doing this to yourself? The guy who you are meant to be with, the person who is meant for you, is not going to be the person that dumped you and then popped in and out of your life for another 2 years afterwards. And that was it. It was by letting go of what wasn't meant for me that I was finally able to see with full clarity what was meant for me. By letting go of those who weren't excitedly and eagerly a part of my life consistently, I was able to fully see and appreciate those that were. And it wasn't long after that awakening, if you will, that I was able to see my best guy friend with a completely fresh set of eyes and from a completely different perspective, who is now my fiance and partner. So, in a nutshell, if you still have hope of getting back together with an ex, be honest with yourself and your ex about that hope if you haven't already done so. See if there is a real possibility of reconciling, and ask your ex what it is they would need from you in order to consider giving things another try. And if you're committed to putting in the work to be the partner that your ex says that they need, prove it to them without expectations, through your actions. And even then, accept the fact that your ex can still change their mind and ultimately decide that the door of reconciliation has closed. So if you do decide to put in the work, do it for you, not just your ex. Do it because you deserve to be the best possible version of yourself, and accept the fact that getting back together with your ex is not the end goal here, but rather that could just be an added bonus should things end up that way. And again, if you have an ex who isn't interested or isn't receptive to your communication, you will never, ever, ever hear me give advice on how to win, trick, convince, or manipulate someone into coming back. Ever. You should never betray yourself by begging for someone to be in your life who doesn't want to be there. Your only option here is to accept the fact that this relationship is over. Okay, my loves, I know that this video was a blunt one, but sometimes dishing out some tough love is what is needed in order to save us from more long-term pain and suffering. I just love you all so much, and I just want what is best for you. I love chatting with you all and hearing your thoughts, so as always, please feel free to share in the comment section down below. Otherwise, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you all next week.
Tell me what was in that stuff you gave me. I think I like it. In fact, it made me high.